Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Eating While Broke. I'm your host, Coline Witt, and today we have very special guest, author, filmmaker, musician, Nick Brooks in the building. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank
Excited
you.
to make some Rotel.
I felt like a radio host when I introed that. Like, whoa, hey.
You sound like one.
If you don't know Nick Brooks, he has the show. This is a novel called Promise Boys, and then you have Up in Smoke that's coming out in May.
Yep.
You have an album that's dropping, accompanying the book in May. And then I did read somewhere, and you could dispel the rumor or not, but I did read that this was also picked up by Promise Boys was picked up by Netflix.
It was, produced by the Obamas.
And produced, that's what I wanted to highlight, and produced by the Obamas.
Yeah.
So this is a really big deal.
Yeah.
I want to cover all that. I want to cover all those moments.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, Nick, you got to tell me what you're going to be cooking me for breakfast today.
Man, you got a great breakfast coming up. This is Rotel, something I was introduced to in college. It's essentially just, ground meat, turkey, beef, whatever, melted cheese and tomatoes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very simple, very easy. I love me a broke dish because the broker the dish, the realer the story, the better the story. That's what I've learned on this set. Anytime I get a dish that has a million ingredients, you already know the story ain't gonna be as good. So go ahead, start whipping me up my breakfast.
Okay.
And while you're whipping up this breakfast, you can go ahead and take me back to what was going on during the Rotel days. Well, wait, did we? Yeah, you already went through the ingredients. Go ahead.
The Rotel days. Well, I'll take you back. So, like I said, I was introduced to Rotel in college, and I'm from DC. Initially went to school in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma. So it was a huge culture shock. The way I got there is because, like you mentioned, I'm a musician. And, I was rapping, I was in a group, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, And we were trying to get out of the city, trying to get out of DC. And I got into, what school did I get into? I got into North Carolina A&T, and I wanted to go to Hampton. Didn't get into Hampton. And my man who I was rapping with, he got into Hampton, but not North Carolina A&T. So it was like, okay, that's not going to work. And then suddenly we got a visit from
because you guys wanted to stay together?
Well, yeah, because we was rapping. And we was like, okay, it's one of those things like my mom, she was a nurse. She was real practical. Same thing with his family. It was like, yo, you got to go to college. So it was like, okay, we'll go to college. But once we get there, we're going to still make this rap thing work. And so a recruiter came to our school talking about the school, Oklahoma University, which I had never heard of. And I think probably at that point, I don't even know if I had been on a plane. And they took us out there to visit the school. It was an amazing experience. It was great. And turns out we both got in. And so we was like, well, we're going to go to Oklahoma. And so anyway, that's how because people always ask me like Oklahoma, that's kind of random, from DC. But that's how we got in. That was the school we got into, and we wanted to make music. And so we ended up.
You guys were childhood friends?
Childhood friends.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my godbrother.
So I'm sure your parents were very at ease knowing that they sent the set off to school together.
For sure. They were, and I've always been a very independent. Like I was super independent. My mom remarried at when I was 9, and she had three daughters. So she had a lot going on. So I was always kind of independent.
Three daughters after you.
Yeah, okay. With my stepfather. And so I was just doing my own thing. I started working at 13 type shit. I was always kind of on my own. So it's funny because my little sisters, they all went to school my mom didn't want them to go nowhere. They all right around DC. But for me, it was like, wherever you gonna go. You know what I mean? Which was fine. It turned out okay. But so yeah, we ended up in Oklahoma, and I met, and I started to meet different people. That's the good thing about college. It's like, I do think some of it is a little bit of a sham, but you meet people from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And so I got to meet people from the South. I got to meet a lot of people from Texas primarily. And so I'm in school, and Rotel Of course, you in college. Nobody has money in college unless you come from money. I ended up having to transfer to Howard, which I'll get to. And those kids had a little bit of money, but we're in college and trying to figure it out, and we get introduced to this dish. It was two dishes that people made a lot. It was spaghetti and rotel, and so that's where it started. And no, you know what? I actually know what the first time I had it. The first time I had it, I was at a kickback, and it was out. I tried it. It was amazing, and it was like, yo, what is this? I just never had it. And they was like, it's called rotel. And so they told us it's just cheese, meat, tomatoes, and boom, you get a.
And then the crazy thing is, on the tomatoes, it's called rotel.
Well,
right?
It really, but I didn't notice that until later.
I noticed that today or the other day.
I never realized that.
Maybe that's why they called it rotel.
Oh, of course, but I never realized that.
Oh, is that really that?
It's got to be, right?
It's got to be. It's got to be. Like get a rotel.
Yeah,
and get a cheese.
That's too much of a coincidence. So yeah, but of course, like you said, how you just realized that today, it took me a while to realize that too. But yeah, so I was like, okay, cool with it. That's essentially where it started. It's like I was at a kickback in college in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, of all places, and it's the first time I had this dish, and it was amazing. And I made it. We probably made it once a week, and it would last us the whole week. You know what I'm saying? We'll make it every probably like every Monday. Last us the whole week through the weekend. Any parties? It's also a great drunk food. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's the meat, it's the chips, it's the cheese. Just like spaghetti. It's like a cool
snacky.
You could do it for snack. You could do it for dinner. It's good for when you're drinking. Like, it's just versatile. It's cheap, right? That's the main thing. It's cheap. So it's just a versatile meal. Easy to pack up, easy to take, easy to store. You know what I'm saying? So that's where Rotel started. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in college. You're with your rap mates.
Yes.
What are you going to school for?
So at the time, I was going to school for nursing. Again, if you remember, my mom was a nurse, and so she was the most successful person I knew. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad worked on the railroad, and then my grandfather, who I spent a lot of time with, he was a pastor. So these was really, as far as adults, like my mom was the most successful person I know. So like, cool, maybe I'd be a nurse, which I would have made a terrible nurse because I don't like people all that much. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I ended up going into, I was doing nursing.
And your mom was probably happy to hear that too, right? Security.
Well, again, security, and she's practical. She, and here's the other thing, it's all my mom knew for real. Like because that's just happened to be what she went to school for. Like, I don't even think she really had too much of a concept of all the possibilities. You know what I'm saying? That's something that, again, when you like from a city like DC, is like, you're not always thinking about the possibilities. You're thinking about what's easy, what's practical. And that's kind of what she was on. And that's what she wanted me to be on. You know what I mean? But I was creative. You know what I'm saying? So I just did nursing because, again, that's just what I knew was a job. And so that's what I initially was majoring in. Yeah.
Okay. So you're where did the shifts come in? You realized in the middle of class that you didn't like your classmates? You said you weren't a people person?
No, so what happened was, I was doing, like I said, I was doing nursing, but we still was trying to rap. And so what we were doing was, we were rapping. We were doing a lot of college shows. We both pledged. We was in fraternities. So we're doing step shows. We're doing college shows. We're on the radio all the time, doing features with people in the city, like making music videos. We was buzzing in this region, right? And so what happened was, I got a call one day from actually another nursing student, funny enough. And she was like, yo, like, I got something to tell you. Don't tell nobody. I saw your video, and I want you to know that Kanye West is my cousin. So, of course, I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, cap wasn't a word, but it's like, okay, cap, right? But tell me more.
Yeah. But tell me I don't know if I would have even thought cap because of why she didn't want to tell you. So, okay, so go ahead. I'm interested. I want to hear this phone call.
That's the first thought I had was like, bullshit. And it's one of those things when you're an artist and you're trying to be an artist.
Like, she trying to holler.
You know what I'm saying? That, or people always giving false promises. You know how it is. So anyway, I'm like, cap, but tell me more. So she's like, yeah, Kanye's my cousin. He's actually from Oklahoma. His family's from Oklahoma. We're all still pretty much here. And he's working on a new album. And I sent your video, your latest video. It was a song called Robot that was doing pretty well. It was on the radio. We made a video to it. She said, I sent your video Robot to one of our other cousins, this guy named Tony Williams. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Williams, but world famous Tony Williams is like somebody who still works with Kanye to this day. Is Kanye's cousin. He sings on, like if you listen to College Dropout, all the vocals are Tony, right?
Okay.
Or Let Registration, all the vocals are Tony. This is so it's a pretty big deal at this time. So I'm like, again, all right, now it's starting to make sense, right? Okay. So I'm like, okay, well, put us in touch then. If you know what I'm saying, and show. So
she sent it. He liked it.
She said he liked it.
Okay.
She said he liked it. They're working on a new album. They're working on his first album for Good Music, and Kanye's also working on an album, which I later learned. I'll tell you what album I later learned it was. So I'm like, all right, send it to him. Or I was like, yo, connect us, and we'll see what happens, right? Because again, I'm not. Yeah. This happens. You know, you run into people who make these promises and you get disappointed. So, and again, mind you, at this time, I'm skipping a few things, but like I was accepted to OU on an academic probation. Meaning like I had to maintain a certain GPA, right? I've already pledged. The semester I pledged, I got a 0.2 GPA. So I had to, exactly. So I had to go to
about to pay some bills.
So I had to go to summer school and all types of stuff. So I'm just laying some foundation, right? So you just understand. So, and we're also doing all this music. I'm not really focused on nursing for real. I'm only doing nursing because I'm just have to be in college. So I get a call, a number I don't recognize. Hello, yo, it's Tony. Right? So Tony Williams calls me and I'm like, oh shit, all right.
So it's becoming less cap.
It's becoming much less cap. So I'm like, oh, what's up? He's like, yo, I saw your video, heard a few of y'all records, heard y'all been doing your thing. I want to take you to our studio in Oklahoma City. It's called Diamond Studio. So boom. And now we hitting the homies, hitting some bros like, bro, we need a ride to Oklahoma City, right? So we go to Oklahoma City, meet Tony, and it's incredible. You know, it's like, so he's giving us the rundown. It really is him. He got on the Good Music chain. He's got on the Jesus piece and everything. And we are huge eyes because we're like, what the fuck is going on? Like this shit is because we made it. No. We just came from DC to fucking Oklahoma thinking like, and here now we bumping into good music. Like that's crazy, right? It just feels so kismet. So we're there. So what ends up happening is we end up working with Tony on a bunch of songs for his first album. We write 2 songs for him and this is a project that's coming out on Good Music. And he ends up doing a song for us, for one of our mixtape we were doing at the time, Average Joe's. And so as we're building, he starts to say, okay, you know what? I never forget this. It was one session that we went to, Nate was in the booth, I think, and Tony took off his chain. It was a song that Tony was fucking with. He was like, oh, this shit is hard. He took off his chain, the Good Music chain, and he put it on me. He was like, yo, y'all better just get ready now. Like, just get used to this. Get used to wearing this. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. He's like, yo, we're in Hawaii right now recording the album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And so, so I'm like.
It's my brother's favorite record, by the way.
For real? Yeah. So at the time, of course, I'm like, don't know what that is, but yes, get us to Hawaii. He's like, yo, I want to take y'all to Hawaii, introduce you. Like, I think this is a match. And then around this time, Big Sean had just signed, right? Or he has been signed for a little bit. Sean was probably their like marquee artist at the time, right? He's like, I want to get y'all on the song with Sean, Big Sean, all of this, right? So again, we're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, so this is all happening and I'm slipping further and further in my schoolwork because again, I'm thinking it don't matter anyway. I'm about to get signed. I'm about to leave. Like this don't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't even need to be here.
Mama made it. Move out the way.
And so it's time to put out Tony's project. Like he's getting his project, the joint that we wrote them records for. It's time to put it out or getting ready to put it out. And he's hitting me and he's like, yo, he needed something like the vocals were off. Basically, he needed the engineer to send him something, right? I'm in class. I'm trying to focus. I'm on academic probation. And so he keeps calling me. And I step out of class and I a little bit kind of snap a little bit. And I'm like, yo, I'm in class, and I never forget the words he said to me. We had a long conversation, but the words he said to me, he was like, because basically I was like, yo, that's your engineer. Like you hit me, like just hit your engineer. And he was like, yo, in life, if you're going to do something, you got to be all in, 1. And then 2, if you're trying to do something, you need to make sure that you the one doing it. Like you can't rely on somebody else to do something for you. You know what I mean? When there's an opportunity that's called, when you get an opportunity, basically, don't rely on somebody else to follow through an opportunity for you. You need to be there to follow through on yourself. And then he hung up and he never spoke again. He stopped answering our calls, stopped answering our emails. I was hitting up the engineer, Chris Cutter at Diamond Studios, couldn't get in touch with nobody. And I always learned a few things from that. Like it was ego, right? It's like, I kind of, to be honest, I felt like in that conversation when he had first hit me, he was kind of like screaming on me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it was ego. It was all ego. And it was also those lessons that Tony said. You know, you gotta, if you want something done, you gotta make sure you're there to do it by yourself or do it for yourself. And if you're gonna be in something, you gotta be 10 toes in.
Yeah.
And so, and my boy, it's so crazy because my boy Nate, he was confused. He was like, yo, why this nigga not hitting us back? Da da da. I just told Nate that story maybe 6 months ago.
Oh my God! So you was playing like you didn't mess it up.
Well,
you didn't.
To be honest, it all kind of clicked, and I was like, you know, I don't think at the time I was ready to say like, damn, just from that one conversation, he just gonna stop fucking with us. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that was like the thought. So I definitely wasn't trying to like hide it and be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But when it all did click in, and I realized, okay, and I took accountability for maybe the way I responded in that moment, I was like, okay. It makes sense. I'm just to him, I'm probably just a young nigga. He just like, you know, he like, who you talking to like that? Like, you know, so anyway, but I just told that story to Nate like 6 months ago. And he was like, damn, bro, you should have just, cause here's the other lesson I learned. He's like, you should have just asked for help. Cause I was kind of like, in the group, I was like taking on the leadership role, right? So I'm getting all the stuff printed. I'm the one going to the radio. Like it's a lot on me. So it's probably also just stress. And everybody responds to stress differently, especially at certain phases in their life, certain phases of their career. And I think the way I responded, I was probably stressed, whatever. Yeah. But another lesson I learned, and even this is just Nate telling me this, he's like, bro, you should have just asked me for help. You should have just told me, yo, Tony need this. I can't get to it right now. Can you just handle it? And he was like, I would have just handled it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
So 2 good lessons.
Yeah.
Did you end up finishing school?
Okay. So all of that happened.
All that sacrifice.
All that sacrifice. And then at the end of the semester, I get a letter from you saying I can no longer stay. I have to go, right? And so again, this is everything. This is our whole, basically this is the moment where like, it's funny because this is where that meal started, but this is like when my rap career back, like the first phase of it kind of ended because I got a letter saying, yo, because of your grades or whatever, like you can no longer continue unless you change your major and start all over.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know what I'm saying? Which at that point I was there for 3 years. So you telling me I gotta literally
And are you telling your mom all this news or are you keeping it all? Okay.
No, I'm keeping it all.
Yeah, you like, come on, let's have common sense, Coline.
Yeah, I'm keeping it all. But again, and this is why I was just trying to lay the foundation. I'm always been independent. Like it's not like my mom was paying my tuition or nothing. Like I worked 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, while I was in school. On top of doing the music and making money doing music. So, I was working. Which is another reason probably why my grades wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
You're juggling a lot.
I was juggling a lot.
You're a Jamaican.
Man. So I'm still like a Jamaican. I work hella jobs now. But
that's me all day.
You know what I'm saying? But so anyway, they got that letter, told my boy I gotta go. And that was that. You know what I'm saying? That was the end, the beginning and end. You know, we had really tried to pursue rap for all of those 3 years, And yeah, it kind of went up in a ball of flames, as they say. How do I turn this one down? This one, yeah, there we go. So yeah, after all of that, but here's the thing. So that happened, and again, how things just work out. My mom happened to be a nurse at Howard's Student Health Center. Mm-hmm. So I did tell her, of course, I'm like, yo, I don't think I'm gonna stay here. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna stay here because the tuition's going up, and I don't know if I can cover it. And so she was like, well, look, I work here at Howard. I've been here for 2 years now. If an employee works at Howard for 2 years, their children can go to Howard for free. So she was like, if you want, you can come finish here. And so what I did was, I told her, I was like, well, I don't know if I get in. You know what I'm saying? Can you help me? And so she was like, well, I know the people in the nursing department. So I had to transfer to Howard as a nursing student. The dean of nursing saw my transcripts, was like, Crystal, I'll accept him in, but when he come in, he got to change his major. Okay. So I got into Howard, got to go for free, and was able to change my major and just do another 2 years.
What major did you switch to?
Psychology.
So
I ended up graduating.
I feel like we're getting closer to the novel land. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm in the weeds. Tell me. I'll speed it up.
No. It's good. I'm trying to. So I got the musician.
Yeah.
I feel like the Promise Boys is coming soon, right?
This is around the corner. So because I can skip over a lot here. So when I get to Howard, basically the music's done. Mm-hmm. I'm focusing now on what I'm gonna do for my career.
And your boy stayed back.
He stayed in Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah. He's still out there. He's in Dallas, Texas now. But so now I'm at Howard, and now it's time to focus and really lock in. It's like, fuck, so what am I gonna do? So what I ended up getting into was education. I did a program at the college called Teach for America, started teaching in DC, and I got placed in the kindergarten classroom. While I was at Howard, I was teaching middle and high school boys, which is a lot of what Promise Boys, like a lot of what I pulled from that experience is in Promise Boys. But after school, I started teaching, and I was teaching kindergarten at first, and I quickly realized, again, me being Jamaican, as you call it, I didn't say it, you said it. But again, I'm hustling, right? I'm like, okay, I'm teaching, I'm reading these kids these books that are very easy to write. You know, the dog jumps, the dog runs.
That's how I feel when I read to my daughter right now. I'm like, who wrote this book?
Yeah, it's like, I could write this though. Yeah. I could write this book. And so that's what I started doing. I started writing children's books, and I started finding pictures online to match the words that I was writing. And my students was taken to the book so much that the principal saw, she's like, yo, like, we should pitch this to the whole Charter Network. And so I pitched a children's book series to the Charter Network, and before I know it, they gave me a check to write it and put my books in all of their schools across the country.
Wow.
My children's books. Yeah. So that was like the first entry into, and so again, me being a hustler, I'm like, oh shit, that was.
Yeah, you can never, as an entrepreneur, you can never taste one drip of blood.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You're like, oh, wait, like, there's possibility over here.
There's something over here, exactly.
Something brewing.
There's something over here. So
look, I'm getting excited.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what so that happened, and I'm like, oh yes, let's run this up. And so I started writing children's books. And while I was in Teach for America, they also had me get a master's in curriculum and instruction. So I doubled down and write a curriculum manual to go along with the books. And I started consulting. I started selling the books and the curriculum to schools all across the country, Texas, Alabama, California. Like, it's going crazy.
Wow, you the gangster kindergarten teacher.
I was.
you was like, I'm not just taking this teacher's salary.
Well, you know, they got to pay teachers more. That's really what it is. They got to pay teachers more. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But so I'm doing that.
It's really brilliant, actually, if you think about to put together a curriculum with the.
And it's kids' books with a little black girl on the front. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nayani.
And what year is this? This is before COVID.
Oh, for sure. This is I was doing this like 2015.
And the only reason why I want to highlight that is because during COVID, there was this big spike in supporting Black businesses.
Oh,
so what you were able to accomplish at the timing that you were able to accomplish is, I would say, would be considered a really big feat.
For sure. No, I appreciate that. No, it was definitely ahead of its time. Yeah. You know, ahead of its time for sure.
Shout outs to you for thinking outside the box and even taking the initiative to write the books for the kids. It showed that you really cared about the kids.
For sure.
Because even I'm not going to lie, I've been low-key writing some kids' books because some of the kids' books suck so bad. Yeah. I'm like, can we at least have an underlying message that makes sense?
Theme, story.
Yeah, like, I want to hear the hero's journey, but with the 3-letter words. Like, you know, I want to.
Yes.
But, I agree, because I used to think Dr. Zeus was great.
Yeah.
And then I got kids and a daughter, and I said, ooh, I was reading this.
Yeah, what is this?
Don't make sense.
What is this shit?
What is this?
It don't make no sense.
You know what?
Ain't no story, ain't no character, ain't no theme.
And I don't even want to take us off track too much, but Baby Shark happens to be one of those songs where it's the deer ran away with the lion or whatever. And you're like, why? Like, what sense does this lie even make? One day she's going to grow up and go, the deer and the lion are not friends? The lion eats the deer? Like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
you ever see these things and you're like, why even make up this lie?
It doesn't make sense.
But
and that's what I picked up.
I'm glad you saw it and you solved the problem and you got your hands dirty.
Well, I was just about to say something because I go around and speak to like colleges and students and stuff all the time. And something I always say is like, it's the 4 P's. It's passion, it's purpose, it's prosperity, and then it's proficiency. So, which is, you know, what are you good at? What are you talented at? What are you passionate about? So me, I'm passionate about writing. I'm passionate about storytelling. You know, purpose. These kids need books with characters that look like them. Prosperity. Again, I'm thinking like, okay, all of these is 100 books in this class. It's 5 classrooms in this school. If I'm right, you know what I'm saying? Boom, that's money there. And then proficiency. Like, I'm good at writing because I spent all of my formative years writing lyrics, right? So that's kind of when I approach it is I'm putting these 4 P's together. Like wherever those intersect, I think is where you're gonna find your niche, right? Your niche. So anyway, so I did all of that, but now, even though I'm writing the children's books, because once I wrote the books and the curriculum, it's kind of done. Now I'm just selling. Right now I'm a salesman, and I'm also very much in education, which is still like not necessarily my bag. I want to be an artist, right? Like I want to, so anyway, so that's how I got into books. That's the taste of it. It's going to come back. Then I saw a movie. I saw a movie called Fruitvale Station.
I remember that movie.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'll tell you why I remember
Yeah.
it. You already know what I'm about to say.
Tell me.
M.B.
Oh my goodness.
J.
Yes.
You don't know.
Yeah.
That has been my crush forever.
Since that movie?
No, I've liked Michael B. Jordan. Shout outs to the true ones that really had a crush on him since he was on, I think it was All My Children or one of those soap opera shows.
I don't remember
from the
that.
Wire days, okay?
Okay, Wire, I knew. He was also in this movie called Chronicle. Some people don't know that movie, Chronicle.
I don't know all his movies.
Yeah.
Because I like him more for his looks than his acting.
Yeah.
But all right, let's stay on topic.
Let's stay on topic.
Fruitvale Station.
So Fruitvale Station, right? And so I guess this is like maybe 2016 or so. Anyway, it hit me so hard. It's about Oscar Grant, and around this time is when a lot of the, you got Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, like this shit was just happening. Yeah. It's still happening, right? Yeah. All the time, man. And so it really hit me. But this movie in particular hit me. And so I was like, yo, who made this? And so I went to look up the filmmaker, and of course I come across this guy, Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
And the way he spoke, I was watching his interviews and everything, and it's like something about him, like I connected to. And just knowing his background, how he was like, yo, I didn't come from making films. I came, I was an athlete, college athlete, da. Again, it just connected with me. And it made me feel like, oh shit, like it's possible. Like I could become a filmmaker. Like I always been a huge movie buff. So I was like, okay, maybe that's a thing. Maybe I could be a filmmaker, right? Maybe I could write stories. And so anyway, I heard he went to the school, USC. Which is, supposed to be the best film school in the world. So I'm like, all right, bet. Well, I'll just go to USC too then. And so
you racking up these degrees, boy.
Bruh, I got. You
went from a .29
to holding. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna get my doctorate soon.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so I make my first. You got to make a movie to get an SC. I made my first movie. It did surprisingly well. It was featured, placed in Forbes 30 under 30, all of this stuff. Not only did I end up getting in the SC, but I got a full ride from George Lucas, right?
Wait, you had to do the film before you even get in?
Yes, you got to make a 5-minute film before you even get in.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like you said earlier, when something is going well, you kind of lean in. So when I got in and got the scholarship and everything, and read my letter from George Lucas and all of this, I'm like, oh, okay, there's something here. And so I go to SC. I make a bunch of more movies, write a bunch of scripts. I actually, real quick before, because this is about to take us into to present day. But while I was at SC, I got to work for LeBron James. Mm-hmm. So I worked over at Spring Hill, and I was there while we were making Space Jam, which of course, one of the producers on Space Jam is Ryan Coogler.
Oh, okay.
And so
you're getting real close to Ryan.
Well,
okay.
So this is the thing. It's like now
you're looking at the signs too.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm driving him around on the WB lot. This is the same guy that I saw his interview, 4 years ago that made me even want to become a filmmaker. Now I'm driving him around on the WB lot. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. So anyway, so I did that while I was at SC, write scripts, made some movies, all did pretty well. And then I graduated from SC in 2020. Of course, 2020, boom, pandemic hits. Everything go crazy, right?
Yep.
Chaos. Madness, sadness.
Especially in LA, yeah.
Man, it's like, what the fuck is going on? And so that happens, and I, again, in retrospect, particularly when you talk through these type of things, you had these little realizations. But for me, my whole thing was all right, I gotta write. I just want to write. Now I know there was probably just anxiety. It's yo, I gotta just, just my brain trying to do something. But I started writing every single day, pretty much all day. All day. So 2020, I'm doing that.
How are you supporting yourself through the pandemic?
Shit, the government.
Oh, you was doing the unemployment checks and stuff. It's the highest paid unemployment in history.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't jump on the unemployment wagon.
Man, you should have.
I should have.
You should. I tell everybody, if they get a chance to eat off the government, do it, because they're going to eat off you.
Facts.
And so
we're going to make that a little clip.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm writing every day, and 2021 comes around. I ended up getting a gig working on Mandalorian, which is, again, because my stage name is Ben Kenobi. Mm-hmm. So it's which I pulled from Star Wars. So all of this, the George Lucas scholarship and the working on Mandalorian is all just cool shit. While I'm working on Mandalorian, a lot of that writing idea started to pay off. I sold my first book series. The first one was Ethan Fairmont. It was a middle grade series.
Okay.
The second one was Promise Boys.
Okay.
Right? Now, Promise Boys was really unique because Promise Boys was the biggest publishing deal for a young adult debut author ever.
Okay.
It was like a huge, huge publishing deal. And the way I got into that was basically, I was writing a bunch of scripts.
Wait, a huge publishing deal for Breakthrough, but not, and I like to ask this.
Yeah.
Not with the category Black in it.
No, so, just but young adult though.
Young adult.
Yeah.
No, but that makes a difference.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Again, another incredible feat.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So that's bigger than just micro targeting.
For sure,
Got it.
for sure. Especially coming from like self-publishing my own,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, my own children's books, all fucking Vistaprint or whatever, Lulu or something I was using. But yeah, so the book goes crazy, like really, really crazy. I never forget, like it was interesting because when the announcement was made about the book, on set on Mandalorian, I was an assistant to one of the EPs, one of the showrunners. And so when you're you have a certain kind of role. Mm-hmm. But when the news came and about the deal and the size of the deal, it was just interesting how, I never forget just how like, I felt like dynamics started to change about how people were looking at me on set. It was just interesting. But that's Hollywood. And so that happens. And then of course, because of the size of the deal, it goes on to be sold as a TV show, right? What?
I told myself I wasn't going to hold back questions, but I'm...
Go ahead.
How much? What was the size of the deal? Can you break it down, please?
Yeah. It was a 7-figure deal.
Okay.
It was a 7-figure deal. And I think, man, I'll leave it at that. It was a little over an M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a little over
maybe like an M and a quarter, something like that.
Okay, and you got the call to get this deal. Okay, so yep, we're gonna rewind. So you get the deal. How exactly did you end up pitching and getting into this position?
Okay, so while all of that writing I was doing, I wrote a script. Me and my co-writer, we wrote a script. And my co-writer is also a novelist. Mm-hmm. And so I think this is probably done, by the way. I think I could probably mix this.
Yeah, go ahead. Mix
and
it.
Then, he's a novelist. And so we wrote this script. Mm-hmm. This is not going to taste good, I can tell you.
You know what? Your story's really good, so it's okay. I'm just going to eat the chips if it's worse.
There you go. Please do. I don't want to make you sick. So he's a novelist. So we're writing scripts, and I came across this property, this IP, and Hollywood loves IP. Like, and I get it in some cases I don't. But I came across this property, this old comic. It's the first Black comic book ever. Happens to be in public domain. And so we wrote a script based on that, and we sent it to his agent to figure out. Before we knew it was in public domain, we were just trying to get some clarity.
What does that mean, public domain?
It basically means anybody can use it for free. So typically you got a license or you got to pay somebody. No.
How does it end up in public domain?
It's typically if basically time period. If it comes out before like, I forget the exact year, but it's a certain time period. Mm-hmm. Like if it came out at a certain point, anything that comes out, like a lot of people don't know a lot of Disney shit is public domain. Like Little Mermaid is actually public domain. Like me and you could write a Little Mermaid book.
Get the freak out.
I'm not kidding. We can't use like some of the same elements that Disney had put into their stuff, but the concept of Little Mermaid, or I think also Jungle Book, a lot of it's public domain. So anyway, public domain means you can use it for free, essentially. Like that's the short.
But you can't use the characters. Stop fidgeting with your mic.
Oh, my fault. I didn't even realize that was a mic. My fault.
He's like, what is this thing on?
Yeah, I was like, oh. No, you can use, as long as it's not a character invented by Disney. Right? Or a character invented by whatever.
So you can use the synopsis of the book, or
exactly the basic premise.
The basic.
The basic premise you can use. Yeah. So we could go write a fucking Aladdin. We can write an Aladdin book if we wanted to.
Okay. So you see this Black comic,
which is great because then Yeah. So I see this Black comic is in the public domain. I'm like, I got an idea. Mm-hmm. And I love mystery. It's about a detective. I love that type of shit. Mm-hmm. The first book I really read that got me into reading was this guy named Walter Mosley who did Devil in a Blue Dress. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so we did that. We sent it to this agent to kind of inquire about the rights before we learned it was in public domain. And she was so interested in the voice of the script. And so she asked her client who I was working with, like, who did you write this with, right? Because it's a Black character. My co-writer's white, and she's like, I think she understood, like, yo, who?
Is your co-writer a guy or girl?
Guy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, yo, who did you write this with? And so he told her about me, and she is a more established book agent. Mm-hmm. And so that's how the whole thing kind of came about. It's like she had me meet with another one of her clients, and we talked about some ideas, and they pitched me a couple of ideas and asked me. And see, this is why I gave all of that context, because they were already trying to crack a mystery set in all boys school. Mm-hmm. So when I tell you I worked with all boys, it was like when they heard my story and they heard that they're like, oh shit, you are the guy for it. So anyways, that's how writing the book came about. And then from there, it was pretty traditional. You know, I wrote the book, did a treatment, and then they just took it out. They took it out to town and people just went crazy over it. It was a bidding war. Mm-hmm. So that's how it all came about. Okay. And so, look at me. Yeah. I washed my hands.
Don't worry, it definitely looks like it's going to be a dish made by a man.
Well, it is that. So, so that's how that happened, right?
Like, should he pour some water in it or something? I feel like you should add water. No,
I think this is.
Is that what it's supposed to look like?
No, not really.
I think if you add water, it's something to it.
Okay, maybe I add a little bit of water.
Here, try this.
So we
trying to save you.
Thank you, so I don't look stupid.
You can never look stupid. Just you talking, it makes it impossible for you to look stupid.
So we do that, and so that's the deal, right? So again, because of the size of the deal, it goes on to be sold, Netflix, Obama, all of the cool headline stuff. And it sounds really cool, only that so I think we ended up wrapping up the deal in the end of 2022. 2023 comes, and we are, setting up the room to write the show, but now Hollywood goes on strike.
Oh my God, and it's writer's strike. Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking I'm about to get my big break. I'm about to write my first show. It's about to go crazy. Boom, writer's strike. And so at this time, so now I'm like, all right. So now TV stopped. And by the way, in this amount of time, we also sold another TV show, a separate one that I could go on all these different tangents, but we had sold another TV show to CW. But again, that one's just stopped too, put halt to everything. And which again,
meaning the show was picked up and just stuck. And that's a risky thing because I've heard stories getting picked up and then something like this happens and then it just goes done. Bingo. I know this because Nick Cannon told us he bought a house and ended up basically broke again off of a deal that got picked up and dropped.
Yep. That's what happens, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what we're worried about at the time. Mm-hmm. And so that's happening. Our shows are done. I'm like, okay, fuck, what's going on with Hollywood? Is there going to be TV? Is there going to be movies? So I start writing my next book. Okay. Which is Up in Smoke, right? Okay. So this is 2023. I start writing.
So Promise Boys is out.
Promise Boys, the book is out. Yeah, it comes out in 2023.
The TV on the Promise Boys is kind of on hold.
It's on hold.
Okay. Now you're like on to the next.
So I'm like on to the next.
Up in Smoke. Okay.
Up in Smoke.
Okay. Before we get to Up in Smoke, can we talk about the Obamas getting involved, the Obama production company getting involved? We cannot skip over that. That's kind of huge.
Yeah.
So take me back to what was going on during that time.
So this is around, again, this is like towards the end of 2022. Much like the book, the bidding war going on, me meeting with all these different publishers. Similarly, the show, all these different production companies, production pods.
And are you getting in front of them because of the booking agent?
I'm getting in front of them because of the size of the book deal.
Okay.
Everybody saw it was a big article, right? Okay. So of course, again, that's the Hollywood thing. It's like what's hot in this one moment, right? Okay. And so
shout outs to all the publicists out there that make sure that
you know what I'm saying. Shout out to Molly, my publicist over at Macmillan.
Oh, okay.
And Morgan. And then so at that time, it was a big article about the size of the deal, and so because of that, all of the production companies are like, yo, who is this? How do we? And then of course the article was like, emerging filmmaker, big deal, Yeah. So now they're like, oh, not just an author, a filmmaker. Oh, USC. Oh, George Lucas Scholar. Oh, you know what I'm saying? ABFF. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. All of these things start to just kind of line up. So it's like, all of these publishers or all of these production companies, are wanting to meet. And so, of course, we met with some. I'm also in this phase. I'm trying to think like what I can say, what I can't say. But there were some people that I was hoping. There were a lot of people that we met with, and there was probably two people at the top of my list. Right? It was. I think I can say this. It was the Obamas, and then it was Jay-Z. And so, so these are the two. So I'm meeting with all these productions, and I'm like, yo, all right, this is a Obama, Hov, like these are like our dads. You know what I'm saying? These are both our dads. So anyway.
Oh my goodness, of all things.
Yeah.
I did not expect you to say Obama or Jay-Z. I promise you.
Yeah.
I would have been doing that same dance, and I would have been saying, "Hov."
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. No, it
Let
was
me
like
tell you
that.
something. I would have
Because they both first families.
ear to ear.
Yeah.
The heights of happiness.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know how you even keep your feet on the ground because you're trying not to get your hopes up too through it all, right?
Yeah, they both first family. You got Hov and and kind of B, and then you got Barack
He
and
said
Michelle.
kind of B. Forget B.
Yeah,
Home Alone.
Yeah, I'm just like these are just iconic blackness, right? And so anyway, so it's like, all right. Long story short, Higher Ground, and also this company called Temple Hill, which does a lot of adaptation, particularly YA. They ended up coming out on top, and
they came out on top because I have to know what was the deal breaker.
Well, there was a few different things. One, at the time, Higher Ground had a deal with Netflix.
Okay.
So it's like cool. Like we know, you know what I mean? Like this is really cool. I think also, again, I'm just trying to choose my words the right way. I think it's like just thinking about because then you got to consider who do you feel like moves the needle at a particular place more. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
You're thinking like a pure businessman. Yeah. You're like which has the most leverage in the game.
Exactly.
Like if you move the names aside, which resume clears out better.
Exactly.
And I can imagine.
And to be quite transparent, there was a lot of other players in this. It's not like this is just Nick Brooks's thing, right? Like there's a lot of other players. There's the agency, is people who kind of put this whole package together, right? A lot of other players, some of which like got nicer watches than me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's it's a lot of cooks.
I'm gonna use that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
okay, got it.
So it's not just like because I might have said Hov, to be honest, but it's a lot going on. Anyway,
of course.
So that happens. But then again, we get to so now we're with High Ground, Temple Hill. We're at Netflix. That's what I want to say overall. I think they had an overall there at that time. And boom, that was that. So I'm like, cool. I'm about to have a TV show. Like shit, I might direct the pilot. Like I'm going crazy in my head. But then 2023 rolls around and it's like the industry shuts down again.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like now everybody's out. People again losing jobs. Executives getting cut left and right. And now we're like. Yeah, so now what is it? You know what I'm saying? Which again is why, I go back into my, just like how, because one thing I skipped over is when 2020 happened, I didn't only start writing books again, I started making music again.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was helping me. I had got a few songs, like I did music for like, I had a song on like They Clone Tyrone, big Netflix movie, shout out to Joel. And I was, putting out EPs. And so I was, doing little things, but then the TV stuff started to take off. So I'm like, boom. But then pandemic, or then, the strike, everything kind of stops again. So now I'm back and let me go write again, make music again. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like I'm, you know what I'm saying, jump rope, So.
Well, before you get into music, let's sit down. Come sit with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to serve us up?
Yeah, I guess I
Plate us up. We're going to eat your Rotel. But yeah, cheers.
Oh, it ain't too bad.
Real?
What you think?
You know what? I thought it was going to be saltier.
Yeah.
Because you were going in on that Lawry's. You was going in on that Lawry's. I said, boy, let the heavens please, But, no, it's great. Oh.
It's good, right?
Mm-hmm. You would kill this. You ain't going to take just one bite.
No, it's actually...
You're like, damn, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So, I know this is a crunchy meal, guys, for all y'all listeners. But it's good.
Some ASRM.
It's
ASMR, whatever.
I am.
ASMR.
I saw this girl on one of those channels, and she was slurping, and I was like, looked at her views, and I said, damn, I could totally be a slurper.
Yeah.
I could totally
You can make money off anything now.
And I was watching her eating, and the only thing that gets me the most on those videos is like where they buy their food.
Okay.
Like I'm like, where did you find this gigantic crab? Like, what store is selling these?
Yeah.
But take me back to you being you're getting back into music.
Yeah. So like I said, when 2020 happened, I didn't just start writing every day. I started making music again. Just again, a release as an artist, as a musician, just is what I love to do. Not thinking anything of it. And then I put out my first project.
And this is solo, no homie from Dallas.
This is solo. So this is my first. Yeah, this is now just Ben Kenobi, solo artist. And yeah, to be honest, I was just doing it for fun. It's really nothing to report other than because, and this is why I just like doing stuff. Like, when people ask me about my story, my journey, I always mention like, one, just doing it, just putting yourself out there, but also just being flexible. Like in a lot of these points when there was an obstacle or a barrier, it's just about how you pivot. That's what I call it, the pivot. Like, what's your pivot, right? And so,
I love the art of the pivot.
What's your pivot? And so, so when that happened, I just, I was making music, but because I was making, this is what I was gonna say, because I was making music, I caught the attention of a director who I actually had met at Spring Hill who was writing on Space Jam. His name is Joel Taylor. Just brilliant guy. He's also the director of They Clone Tyrone. But he heard my music just because we had tapped in when I was working at Spring Hill. He was like, yo, you're actually really dope. Like, I want you to work on the soundtrack for They Clone Tyrone. So now all of a sudden.
Oh, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's a really big check.
Well, so, I got invited to the writer's camp to work on the soundtrack. I did and again, this is one of those moments where you think like, oh shit, like by this time I'm jaded, so I don't, nothing excites me. To be honest, nothing excites me, really.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you meant jaded in a different way. Okay.
Oh, no. Just like as far as like thinking, oh, this is my big break. You know what I mean? Like that is just not.
You're numb now.
Yeah. It doesn't, it just is like whatever.
But at this point, all your endeavors are leading to a life that is more stable, or do you feel like it's still rocky in your finances?
It's definitely stable. It's just not what I envision or what I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a really, really big dream, so it's like, it's certainly stable, like, but it's just, I'm not where I want to be. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're doing the music for the soundtrack. Are you starting to work Up in Smoke?
At this time, no. I'm focusing on the music, thinking that's gonna kind of pop. And of course, all the songs I worked on at the writers' camp, none of them got picked for the soundtrack.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like that. That's
like, where the jaded. Thank God you're jaded at that point.
You know what I'm saying? Because imagine I was like, oh my God, I'm about to. But here's the cool thing, because of my relationship with Joel, he actually hit me and was like, yo, do you have anything from your own catalog that we can use? And so again, this is why it's so important to just do stuff, because had I not just started making music, my answer would have been no, and I just would have been shit out of luck. But because I had been making music, I sent him a few tracks of my own, and one actually got selected. So I ended up having a song in the movie. So again, it's just how you move. But anyway, so now now I'm doing that, right? This all leading us back up to 2023, writer strike. So now, because the TV show's not going, and we had 2 shows that I thought I was going to kind of be consuming my time, because that all stopped, I'm now writing Up in Smoke. So 2023, I start writing Up in Smoke. I did like the first 15 pages, then the first 30 pages, then the first 50 pages. I was like, yo, I fuck with this. And I sent it off to my editor at Macmillan, who edited Promise Boys, and he was like, yo, this is really great. Like, we want it. And so then I had another publishing deal, right? So boom. So I sold Up in Smoke in 2023 to Macmillan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's your second book to them?
That's my second young adult novel.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be my 5th novel.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be my 5th novel.
Under them?
No, not under them.
It'll be your 5th novel in general.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, my second one with them, with Macmillan.
Wow.
Up in Smoke. And so this is all 2023. I'm like, okay, boom, Up in Smoke, that's going to be my next one. But I'm also, again, because I'm not doing the shows, the TV shows, I'm like going back to the music. And so I'm making music, and it dawned on me, it'd be a really cool idea. Another thing I do is like multiple POV. So like Promise Boys is 3 boys, right? It's 3 protagonists.
Is that what POV means?
Yeah, points of view. Yeah,
points of view. Okay,
yeah. So
I was like, what's a POV?
Yeah.
3 different points of view.
3 different, like a movie like I don't know if you've ever seen like Vantage Point, or what's some other ones? There's a ton of them that like kind of rotate these, or like, what's the
one I think did a really good
Reservoir
job
Dogs,
of it,
or any of those. Pulp Fiction.
I don't know if this is a good example of POV, but where the 5 boys, well, the way they wrote that script, where the 5 boys that were in the park.
Yes, when they see us.
When they see, or yeah,
that's a great
I thought
example.
that was really a great one.
That's really cool that you pulled that out, because When They See Us was actually somewhat of a comp for Promise Boys, particularly the TV show.
Okay.
So yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, When They See Us. So
that's a good example of POV.
That's a good example of multiple POV.
Okay.
For sure.
So you try to write with 3 POVs, a minimum of 3.
Just multiple. I mean, just in general. It's no number, no minimum. It just particularly for mystery, it helps hide secrets and clues. Like for mysteries, it makes it more compelling. You take a movie like Knives Out, or the classic is Clue, right? You have all of these different people with all their own POVs. They all see things differently. They all have secrets. They all are hiding things from each other. Like that just helps create like a compelling space for mystery, right? So that's why it's cool to do it, and particularly in prose and novel form. But so Promise Boys is 3 POVs. Up in Smoke is 2.
Okay.
Cooper and Monique. But I thought it'd be really cool to include a 3rd POV in the form of a rap album, right? And have the rap album have clues to the murder in the book.
Okay. Oh, so Up in Smoke and your album go together.
They go
together. It's a package deal. And so when you purchase Up in Smoke, does the book come with like a downloadable?
Not necessarily, but we're doing certain things. So, for example, we're doing a pre-order campaign right now. Like, if you pre-order Up in Smoke now, you will get you'll get a track. You'll get an unreleased track from the album.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And then that will point to a clue in the book.
Exactly.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
I was out somewhere in Texas and I saw a bunch of people following each other with their phones out.
Yeah.
And I was like, they must be chasing a Pokemon. So I feel like when they read Up in Smoke, it's kind of like a similar engagement where if they listen to it, they can figure it all out.
Figure stuff out.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think
very hard to do.
It's a lot of writing. It's 14 tracks on the album, so a hell of a lot of writing. And it's just a cool idea. And like my whole thing, Promise Boys is similar. It's like I want to pull in what the industry will call like reluctant readers, or in the education system, reluctant readers, kids who just don't typically pick up a book. And I get asked a lot like, well, what makes, like, why don't kids read, or or are there books for all kids? It's like, of course there are. Like, the only reason why a kid is not reading a book is because they haven't found the right book. And so I like to write books.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
That was great.
Yeah, I like to write books that feature, again, that I'm from DC. I grew up in like DC, and so I write books that I know kids who growing up in DC would respond to. I'm putting things in the book that either I've experienced, my friends have experienced, or kids that I've taught have experienced. I used to coach Little League football. Like, I know these kids, I know these young men. So I'm trying to write books for them, for real, and it is working. I have gotten calls from grown men who have been like, bro, like, my 15-year-old son is reading because of you. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say, is like, for me, putting the album with the book is another way of like, how do I engage?
Yeah.
How do I engage? How do I make this interactive? How do I open up? How do I connect both dots? How do I connect people to my music? How do I connect people to my books on both ends?
And that's what I was about to say next. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan.
Yes.
Gigantic.
Same.
Gigantic. There's a painting. There's a painting of Jay-Z in the lobby.
I noticed that with him lounging.
Yes. I bought that when I was like 24 and had it shipped here. But I brought up Jay-Z because if you were to say, if you're out there listening and you want to say, okay, well, I'm not necessarily ready to read Up in Smoke, but you buy the album, then after listening to the album, you're going to want to read the book.
Yes.
And I only reference that to Jay because a lot of times, if you even get a micro nugget of what was going on when he was writing a record, you're like, oh my God, like that's what was happening, or some parallel. So I like that you did try the music route because, especially in the Black and brown market, we definitely find our relatability more in music than books for whatever reason. But I like that they could either pick the music or the book. And you tell me the reason.
Well, the reason is because in music, like when you say Black and brown, and it's also from particular neighborhoods, often lower socioeconomic status neighborhoods. The music calls to exactly our day-to-day life, what we're going through. It's familiar. And I think sometimes with books, people are not empowered to write those same things. I think it's I'll give you an example. For me, something I hear from my publisher, I didn't necessarily hear it from my publisher, but sometimes what they imply is that Black boys don't read, right? And the reason is because we're not writing books like Promise Boys, or we're not writing books like Up in Smoke. It's like a chicken and an egg. Mm-hmm. The reason people aren't writing those books is because publishers are not publishing them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like the reason the kids are not reading, again, goes back because they don't have the books that are familiar to them. So when you say it's like, for whatever reason, we relate more to the music, because, well, people are making familiar music. People are not necessarily writing familiar books for all types of people. You know what I'm saying? From all these places that we come from. And hopefully that's what I'm trying to do with Promise Boys, Up in Smoke, and, you know, all the things that I do. Yeah.
I think you do a really great job of also letting your light shine and allowing others to do the same. I think what can be said to accompany what you just said is like seeing a young Black author have a huge writing deal, someone that also started in music, something that they could look at and say, oh, I can do it. I had an interview previously where the guy said he wanted to be a kindergarten teacher because he only had one Black male kindergarten teacher in his school. So he was just like, that one guy had such a huge impact. So it is a chicken and the egg situation that a lot of opportunities weren't given to us for such a long time. And the fact that you can go on camera and someone, whether it's one person or two people or 5 million people, hear this interview and say, wait a minute, I can be like him. Or like how Ryan Coogler had inspired you, like, wait a minute, that one interview at the right time. So kudos to you.
To all the young kids who rap, you can write books. Like, they just don't know they can do it.
A lot of people don't even I love the idea of having authors because it switches up. Originally when we were going to do the interview, I was like, well, I'm going to stay away from the music because it, to me, has become like the standard stereotype. But to say a best-selling author who has had so many pivots in relatability, it's a beautiful story. And I see why the book and the music are tied together in your mission. But I really appreciate what you've done here. And your cooking's not too bad. You know, I was only choosing not to eat it all, guys, because I didn't want to chew in your ears. But look into that camera and tell everybody where they could keep up with everything Nick Brooks.
You can find me at my website, just thenickbrooks.com, TheNickBrooks.com. Find me on Instagram, official Nick Brooks. TikTok, official Nick Brooks. You know, you could Google Nick Brooks.
He's very Googleable.
Googleable. You could Google Nick Brooks. Man, tap in.
And then Up in Smoke drops.
May 6th.
May 6th. So you guys,
less than 2 months away.
By the time this interview drops, the book we'll try to make sure it releases around the same week.
There we go.
That'll be the goal we shoot for.
There we go. I appreciate that.
So we can help push the promotion.
Let's do it.
But yeah, guys, and then also right now out on shelves is Promise Boys. I am not a huge fiction reader, but I will be reading this book, guys.
There we go.
So it looks very interesting. You
gotta let me know what you think.
Yes, and I'm into thrillers, so I know I'm gonna like this book.
There you go.
Even though it ends in murder.
And you can pre-order Up in Smoke now. So if you go to the website, go to the...
And you can order the music first if you don't order the book.
There you go.
You could do vice versa. Remember that, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.